Hi, everyone. This is Jeanne White from Social Connections on Passionate World Radio, where passion meets reality. And today, I have two unbelievable authors here, and they're I get so excited about cookbooks. Cooking with the Muse, and it's Myra and Stephen. Correct?
Correct.
That's right.
Hi.
Hi. I'm a little leery to pronounce your last name, Myra. I don't want to make a fool of myself. Kornfeld, is it how you pronounce that?
Yeah, that's correct. Very good, yes.
And then Stephen Massimilla?
Or Massimilla, that's good.
Massimilla, okay. Sorry about that.
Okay.
This book is like museum quality.
Oh, thank you.
And all the different recipes that you have in here. And so let's get a little bit background about this and how did this book come about?
Well, then you're asking, the book had a lot of muses, but Myra was the culinary magician, I have to say. She was always conjuring up new dishes.
And then I would say Steve is a literary wizard. I mean, he's always conjuring up new poems and writing essays and reviews about poetry and literature.
And then, we realized we just had perfect complementary skill sets, and we just had to team up. And as the great culinary figure Roger Verger said, a chef works creatively, marrying ingredients the way a poet marries words. So cooking is a lot like writing poetry. And,
it takes a poet to cook up colorful and exciting ways to write about food. So we also realized that recipes were a lot like poems. And, so we got to thinking we could write a really great, really good collaborative book together, one that's about the marriage of recipes and poetry, cooking and writing, the synergy between the two.
So it's been a lot of fun. And
I'm sure it has been, but, Myra, you were the one that came up with all the different recipes?
Yes, they're all original recipes.
Now, my question is, when you come up with this idea, do you test this in your kitchen, or do you have some other place where you test these?
Oh, everything. It's tested to the hilt because we want to make sure that everything works for people who are experienced cooks, people who are not experienced, and recipe writing is a lot about communication. So, it's one thing if I can make it, but I want to make sure that if anyone following the recipes will really get a good result. So, and things are tested until they really work, and then they're written and rewritten, and then they're tested again with people who have never cooked with them before. So, they are really well tested.
There were so many cooking events and classes where they were tested, and we wanted to make absolutely sure that these recipes would be clear and easy to follow, too, for cooks or for readers at any level. So I felt in any place that I didn't understand what Myra was trying to communicate, we just rewrote it so that anybody can work from these recipes. They're great for beginners as well as advanced cooks.
Oh, that's good, because, sometimes there are cookbooks that they're very intimidating.
Right.
And at least for me, anyways, when I haven't done a lot of cooking in a while, but I would look at it and I would like, oh my God, I can't make this. But when I look at your recipes, it's very self-explanatory. Like I was looking at this one here, I thought I might try. I don't know, the blackberry fresh corn polenta tartlets with ricotta cream. It's
very straightforward, and it will come out good. And we're both big communicators. Stephen and I are both. So it was really important to us that everything be really well explained.
Right, and blackberries are in season, so it's that time in autumn where they're at the peak of their ripeness.
And corn is wonderful right now too, and together they taste really delicious.
They ring together. And Stephen, how did you come up with the poetry to go along with the, say, like blackberry parfait? Where does the inspiration come for you to the words to come out about this?
Well, there are so many sources of inspiration. The green market is one of the muses of this book. So whatever's just at its peak in that particular season was always inspiring. And the relation between the poems and the recipes was complex because sometimes poems inspired recipes and sometimes recipes inspired new poems. And sometimes when we put the poems and the recipes next to each other, that inspired other musings. And we worked on the book over many years, so we had picked out a whole range of poems and then thought what recipes could go with them. And we had a range of recipes and thought what poems could go with them. So in the case of the blackberry parfait, I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg or the parfait or the blackberry poem, to put it in other words.
Yeah, because in a way, all the pieces in this book kind of interlock like a multicolored jigsaw puzzle, and to make a sum that's greater than the parts. And I'm not sure if you realize it, but this book is a complete book of original poetry as well as a complete anthology, as well as a book of essays, as well as a cookbook.
In fact, what I was just saying, maybe you were asking about the tartlets, but right next to that there's a blackberry parfait that's paired with this poem Blackberry Eating by Galway Cannell, which is one of the great culinary poems of all time. And there's another piece by Mary Oliver about blackberries, and it's both paired with this luscious parfait and with an essay that explains the connection between the two and explains the poem and explains to the reader why it's a great time for blackberries. And so it makes everything more accessible, and we had a lot of fun pairing them.
Right, and we really both had to kind of love every poem and every recipe, and really work at how they fit together. So it was a really fun collaboration.
Right. So I wrote many of the poems myself, but sometimes as I wrote the poem, the recipe would change, and then Myra would change the recipe, and then that would inspire me to change the poem. And so there was a real symbiotic relationship.
I mean, it is, and I really think, I really could make a lot of these recipes in here. It would make a wonderful Christmas gift for people. It really would. It would be just outstanding. And I know that you've gotten very good reviews on Amazon, too, so that's another great place for people to go, because this is where they can purchase it?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And I know that you are going to be will you two be at the Miami Book Fair?
Yes, we'll be on Sunday at 4:00. We'll be giving our talk.
Oh, that's excellent, because my station will be there, so hopefully that I can get to see you and just to say, hi to you.
Oh, that would be wonderful. We'll definitely make sure we stop by.
Yes. I was looking at this one recipe, and I know that I really can't eat shrimp, but maybe I could place scallops, but it looks delicious. The shrimp and scallop cakes with shiitake, mushrooms, and fresh herbs. It's
yes, it's really delicious, and you can just, because the scallops kind of, when they're blended up, they hold everything together. So if you can't eat shrimp, you could just use more scallops or use another fish in place, and it would be fine.
I just love when there's a background here about the poetry of, there's a piece in the very beginning, about the poetry of the Bible. You bring that in. Medieval writing about food. There's really a great amount of information that people would be very interested in how the food movement, how it's moving forward, the different types of ingredients now that they're using. And we're returning to really real food now.
Yes, we're both big advocates of a real food philosophy.
In fact, you're making multiple points, because it contains an anthology of maybe 4,000 years of poetry, but we couldn't include all those poems, but the intro sums up the whole history of the literature of food. And then with every single dish, there are preambles and epigraphs and cook's notes and poet's notes and literary essays about the dishes, and also 200 full-color photographs in addition to the 150 seasonal recipes. But you're right that, as Myra was just starting to say, we advocate a real food philosophy. So there's this whole philosophical dimension to the book.
Yeah, that's
and
one
Myra
that's
can tell you more
dedicated.
about that.
Yeah, it's one that's dedicated, to basically time-honored farming practices, like, raising animals on pasture, where cows are grass-fed and chickens can peck in the dirt. Philosophy also encompasses using plenty of good quality traditional fats, and that includes ghee, coconut oil, fats from pasture-raised animal, good butter, etc. And slow-cooked bone broths. People always use the whole animal, and it turns out it's very nutritious. It also makes your food incredibly delicious. We also advocate preparing foods such as nuts, grains, and legumes in the way that make them really digestible, by soaking them and toasting them and things. And so, basically I would say, one farmer that we really like, says that, cheap food makes expensive medicine, and we really agree with that. So,
I agree. Totally.
We think that in literature, the poets and writers agree with that too. So the point you were making about the introduction is we give the whole history of food and literature where everyone's celebrating fresh, seasonal food that's well-sourced, and then in the modern era that becomes more problematic. So we really have to...
nowadays, because we have farmers markets and we have the Internet, really pretty much anyone can get access to well-sourced food relatively easily. So, you have to seek it out, but it's getting easier and easier, and that's a really good movement that's happening.
That's great. Excellent. And the pictures are beautiful here on this, too, your photographer. It's everything just melds together. I just feel like everything here belongs here. That's what I feel. It just really is great. It's excellent. And I know we're coming to the end now. I can't believe it how fast it goes. But right now, because of the Miami Book Festival, I would be happy if you guys ever did decide to want to come back again and talk about get more in depth about the food, and or maybe we could do a Skype conversation. But I would just think it would be great.
Oh, we would love that.
That would be fantastic.
That would be great. But hopefully I'll get to see you down in Miami because our station will be there and we'll be interviewing also.
Can I make one more comment? Because you said something about where you could buy the book, and you can get it on Amazon or from the press or from Barnes & Noble. But if you want to learn more, see reviews of the book, learn more about it, how to order it, we have a website, cookingwiththemuse.com. And so I just thought I would mention that.
Yeah, there's a lot of information on that.
I know sometimes I just automatically think of Amazon. I'm so,
that's good too.
I get all my books from Amazon, so that's probably what I'm doing. But I want to thank you both, Myra and Stephen, for coming on the show. I really, appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure having you both. And enjoy the Miami Book Fair, and hopefully I can get by there and just wave and say hello to see these two people, because I really am in love with food, and these books really show it. It's just beautiful. I really do. I think they're gorgeous.
Thank you so much.
We look forward to meeting you in person.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. This is Jeanne White. I'm ending my conversation now. Thank you for tuning in to Social Network with Jeanne White. Social Connections, I'm sorry. I get involved when I'm talking to chefs and poets. Thank you again, everyone. Have a great day. See you on the radio, Passionate World Radio. Thank you.